What's up everybody, and welcome to the channel. In today's video, we are here at 704 Exotics taking a look at the Lamborghini Huracan alongside the Audi R8. We're gonna do a side-by-side comparison with these two amazing V10 supercars. And if you're new to the channel, I own a 2014 Lamborghini Gallardo, which happens to be the car before the Huracan.
And I own a first-gen Audi R8, which of course came before this one. I also own a V8 as well, which they no longer make. So with the supercars behind us, we have a 2020 Audi R8. These go for right around $180,000. We have a 2016 Huracan. They go for right around $190,000. So we do have a pretty close price discrepancy for these two particular models behind me with their respective miles.
And when you look at the Huracans on the used and new market, on the low end, they are about, at the cheapest, maybe 160 grand, going all the way up to $500,000 for brand new STOs and Technicas. On the R8, the used 2017s, which are the oldest of the second gens, you can get them in the around $120,000 range, and they get all the way up to about $250,000 with the latest final edition version. So at least these two particular cars, obviously different mileage and years, but they're about the same price point. We do have a rear-wheel drive version on this Lambo versus the all-wheel drive on the R8. So now let's dive into some of the exterior, interior, as well as performance, and then drive them back to back and see what we think. For the performance of the Audi R8, you're going to get a 5.2 liter naturally aspirated 10-cylinder engine. Depending on the year and trim, horsepower can range from 540 up to 610. On the Lamborghini Huracan, you have the exact same 5.2 liter naturally aspirated 10-cylinder engine. And once again, depending on the year and trim level, horsepower can range from about 580 up to 640. Both cars also feature a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission and offer rear-wheel drive as well as all-wheel drive. Moving on to the exterior styling, the R8 and Huracan actually share the same platform. However, the bodies are tremendously different. The Lamborghini has that classic wedge shape, very low to the ground, very sharp lines all throughout it. The R8 is much more round. It looks like a lot larger vehicle. It's much taller. You still have a lot of angles, some sharp lines. Of course, we have the intake ducts for more induction to cool down the engine. On the Lambo, we have a lower one and an upper one. For the side profile, once again, you can see how the Lambo just points downwards, and then the R8 has a little bit more of a bubble shape to the roof. Both are gorgeous cars. The rear ends are insanely wide looking, very low and aggressive. So cool to see how you got the Audi design basically for the styling of the R8, and then the classic Lambo design for the Huracan. So now sitting in the Audi R8, you have a lot of cool steering wheel controls like your drive select, performance mode, exhaust, and engine start stop. You have the Audi's virtual cockpit that you can of course get into a pretty cool design. Very nice dashboard with carbon fiber and leather, some climate controls down below, a little bit of storage. You're also going to get a more traditional shifter control panel as well for all the infotainment. Door panel has some nice contours with more leather. You have nice diamond stitching. As far as visibility, looking over your right side, pretty good view around for being a mid-engine car. And you can see that bubble shape to that ceiling with a nice headliner. Nice place to be, as you would expect from an Audi R8. And a cool set of materials, buttons, and just a nice overall design. And then now into the Lamborghini Huracan. Just like the exterior, you can see how the interior is a lot more edgy. You got that Y-shaped design. Nice looking seats with just some more simple stitching. This one does not have the transparent engine cover, so visibility is pretty poor over the right side. However, general visibility is actually about the same. A little bit lower roofline, as you can see, with more square shaped windows versus the round ones. A little bit longer dash, different design for the center. You have a small screen, climate controls, infotainment, start button in the center. And then you also get a nice virtual cockpit as well. And when you toggle your drive modes, it'll change just a little bit with the coloring. And then of course, you can toggle a few things on the left side, go up and down. So overall, nice looking interior for this car as well. Nice use of materials, just a lot more edgy and aggressive as you would expect from the Lamborghini.
As we set off now behind the wheel for the R8, like I mentioned earlier, I own an R8. It's a first gen. I have a manual V8, so much different of course, than the second gen. So it's pretty cool to check out a second gen and see what it's like compared to mine. Right off the bat, this thing is loud.
Yeah, it's got a nice exhaust on it. Of course it does.
Yeah.
You can change it, make it quieter or louder, which is pretty cool.
But it sounds like a Lambo.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
My previous opinions about this, having the paddles, they went away from the manual transmission. I always thought it was something that just kind of didn't have that drama, but I think I'm wrong now.
As a passenger, that was pretty sweet.
I think it also depends on the exhaust too. The stock second gens, just like my stock V8, was nothing to get excited about.
This sounds like my Lamborghini, which is also 5.2.
Right, and we have a good turning radius, but here we go. Not doing anything crazy, but yeah.
Big bump though.
Yeah. Let's give it another acceleration. We got a weird bridge here, but shifts are quick. Okay, this is fun.
This is pretty sweet.
I do like the updates and upgrades that they did versus the first gens.
It's really nice in here, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot more modern feeling, especially with the digital screen and all that. Pretty easy to go through everything, but this is a car that, kind of almost unlike the Lambo, you could daily drive a little bit more.
There's plenty of headroom. We're about 6 feet tall. Good visibility all around.
Yeah.
And so you're in performance mode. What happens if we go to normal mode?
So this is
comfort.
Normal and comfort.
Yeah, it's a lot more tame now. Yeah, it doesn't.
Exhaust opens up a little bit.
Yeah, but insanely more quiet. Like.
Yeah, a lot more quiet, which is nice.
Feels like a normal, like a nice normal Audi that happens to be, it's a supercar underneath, but it's actually nice and normal.
And that's why I bought mine, because it's something that, even with my car, I can daily drive it, and I don't have, it's just like driving a Porsche or something, it's just a
luxurious performance car.
Right, yeah. Same with this too, even though it's a newer model. We got the trunk space up front. You got the storage shelf behind you.
The seats are padded. Like, as a passenger, I could rack up a cross-country trip in this. I don't think I'd have too much of an issue.
Well, that's exactly what you could do with this car. A lot of people do that with Lambos too, but I think this is just kind of a little bit more, I don't know, better suited for it.
Yeah, we can feel the relaxedness. That's awesome.
That sounds good.
It sounds good. It's very quick. The transmission, lightning quick.
Yeah. So it's not as boring as I would say. I like the manual. That's why I bought the manual. But you can't get a manual in this. So I mean, for only having the paddles, it still gives you the drama.
All right. So now my thoughts. It's fast, it's fun. It does remind me of my Gallardo. It sounds almost identical to my car.
Which is crazy to see from here.
The interior, like you said, I've driven these generation R8s as well, and I always kind of thought they were more boring from the Huracan, which we'll hop in the Huracan and see if all of a sudden we're like, okay, I see the difference.
Yeah.
But this feels like compact in here to where it feels sporty, it feels fun. I like the bubble roof because it does give you that visibility to where it's like, I could all day long drive this in any circumstance. I think I could give the keys to my wife and she could take it out and not have an issue with visibility or low clearances.
The windshield has more of a bubble too, I think, than the Lambo as well.
So I love what Audi has done with the R8 and why it's been such a successful car over a decade.
Yeah, 2008.
Yeah, I mean, it's been out forever. And it just feels like a nice car, and yet it's fun.
Man,
because when I bought my Gallardo, which cost the same as like a 2017 R8, I was kind of considering these two, just because you do get some of that more like daily ability stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun. It's got some character, and then as expected, you go down to comfort mode, and it's a nice, comfortable car. So there's a lot to offer with the R8, whether you go first gen even, or if you're looking at the second gens, 120s on the lower end, not too crazy for a supercar. Getting up to $250,000 for the one of 300 something the last year.
Yeah, and if you want to go with the first gen like me, you can even spend less than 6 figures. So if you're looking for kind of more of that, like 911 or
basic like sports car money, really.
Yeah. C8 Corvette territory, you can even go as low as that, which you can't in the Huracan.
Yeah, and some of the tech in this car You know, you still got the backup camera in the center screen, decent graphics. You know, they're not the best, but
keep that in mind when we hop in that.
Yeah. All right, so we are now setting off in the Huracan. So comparing this to my Gallardo, the view out feels so similar. That long windshield, that low roof line, these really small windows.
Crazy.
Yeah, very familiar to me already. It's pretty cool. We'll keep it in normal mode right now, which is Strada. You can tell this is already like a little bit stiffer, I'd say. You feel lower, the seats are stiffer.
Oh yeah.
It's a very different feeling all day long. That design of the wedge-shaped Lamborghini, you feel it just sitting in it. Very stiff suspension.
I can tell, yeah.
It's so different.
It's way different already.
But this already does feel like something different, you know, like, and I don't know, more special I'd say, because it already feels like a very unique car.
Yeah.
The R8 felt kind of normal sometimes, which isn't a bad thing.
Well, it feels like you're in like an A8 or something. Like it has that Audi vibe overall.
Right. This already, you start off in a Lamborghini, which is a difference versus an Audi. Tighter steering radius.
Oh, wow.
This is rear-wheel drive too, though, so.
Yeah.
So going into Corsa mode, that's kind of the top drive mode. Now I think the R8 might have a louder exhaust, so that's aftermarket. But we'll give it a little bit of gas after this big bump. Wow.
It's hard to tell which one is quicker if we did different accelerations, but
yeah,
that's definitely fast.
That feels faster, but it doesn't sound better. But again, aftermarket exhaust, whole different story.
Oh yeah.
But this definitely does feel just more tighter, more hunkered down, and just the view and everything you look at feels very different. It doesn't drive necessarily much different, I would say.
Yeah, we'll have to see when I get behind the wheel. I can already kind of compare it to my Lotus Evora and my R8.
Yeah.
R8 kind of bigger, more luxurious. Lotus was kind of more hunkered down, like a little more of a go-kart feel.
Yeah.
If we can kind of compare them like that.
And it's funny, we'll have to compare my Lambo to your R8 because the views all are the same. Like this and the Gallardo, this feels just like my own car, which is crazy. My car does sound a lot better. I think this is bone stock, which if you have a V10, you need a new exhaust because then they just open up and sound insane. But this is still a normal car to drive.
I think you could daily this.
Once I get my car back up and running, honestly, like I don't have an issue driving it around. It's got about the same storage, a little bit worse than the R8. But you can drive it around. It's just a little bit harsher from the suspension.
That's just based on, you know, what you want out of your car.
Exactly. All right, so getting back up and going. Rear-wheel drive can get out a little bit, as I know, but they're both fast. I mean,
they're gonna be quick.
Yeah, nearly the same. This rear-wheel drive is detuned from the all-wheel drive versions, but I think the biggest thing I'm noticing is just the whole view and everything you're seeing. It feels like a very different car. Fundamentally, the driving is about the same. Just this might have maybe just a little bit more character to some aspects, but not crazy.
So my turn behind the wheel now for the Lambo. I know it feels about the same.
I will say
the shifts feel, they give you that drama.
Yeah, a little bit more drama to the shifting where it kind of kicks you in the back a little bit.
Yeah. But from my perspective, you know, owning the R8, it takes a little bit of time to get used to this. The view is definitely different. But I think aside from that, and obviously the differences where the layout of everything, my car is lowered on a little bit harder suspension, so to me this kind of feels like I'm in my car.
Yeah, it feels a lot like my Gallardo.
Yeah, it's nothing like out of the norm aside from if you are just buying this to be like more of a GT style car.
I think the R8 would be a better option given that it is a better GT style car.
Right, yeah. So you would have to do something different with this one.
This is a lot tighter feeling.
Yeah. Feels a lot more like a go-kart compared to the R8. As far as the steering goes, we're not doing performance driving today, but it does feel tighter and maybe more direct.
I feel like it's a little more lively. It's a little more on its toes. And again, if you're on a track, it'd be a whole different idea to be able to compare that type of level.
Yeah.
But even just kind of fun, minorly spirited driving, like, yeah, you can tell it's a little more lively, got a little more drama to the transmission, the paddle shifters are cooler.
You get a really cool indicator for the gears that you're in versus the R8.
Yeah, a little bit more.
So a little bit more race focused.
Yeah, a little bit more normal Audi in there.
Yeah.
All right, so after driving the Huracan and R8 back to back, overall thoughts, what do you think?
Man, it's a tough one because I'm going to be, I guess, R8 biased and you're going to be Lambo biased.
Probably.
I kind of, especially with the exhaust on any supercar, I think really is a determining factor, even though it still can be fun to drive. If the Huracan had a different exhaust, it might liven it up better.
That exhaust really made that sound insane.
Yeah.
It added a lot of character.
Yeah.
I like the shifting on that better with
I was going to say the Huracan still had that performance character to it, even though it wasn't quite as loud as the R8.
Right.
But I like the R8 interior better. You have
think,
to get used to the Lambo interior.
Yeah, I think the Lambo's interior is more of an acquired taste, to where this is normal enough to where a broader audience would hop in and drive and be like, this is nice, I can drive it.
You feel like you're in any other Audi.
But a little more unique.
Right.
The Lambo is very different to where if you're not into that wedge low stuff, like I personally am, obviously because I bought one, you might not like it to where it would deter you from what it does have to offer.
Right.
So I think the R8, which makes sense, is it appeals to more people. It's kind of that more well-rounded supercar. And I didn't find it boring like I feel like we've found in the past. The second gens were a little boring, but
yeah, I've definitely had that stigma of I wouldn't buy a second gen because it was more boring than my first gen V8 R8.
Yeah. But I feel like maybe with the right exhaust, it just dialed it into where that character, your senses just kind of came alive. But I think that's about it, our comparison.
Man.
It's a toss-up.
I think we're going to switch sides here, aren't we?
I like the Lambo because I'm a Lambo fan. I mean, I've dreamt about these forever. I like how it's so unique on the interior. But I really like this as far as, like, it's so easier to drive. It's more normal, and yet it was still a lot of fun.
I have nothing against Lambo, so when I want to drive one, we'll just switch cars and call it a day.
So the goal is have a friend who buys the other one and trade every other month, and you're good. But
good.
I think that is comparing the R8 to the Huracan. We've never compared these two, actually.
No.
We're going to have to compare.
We have to do our own cars
soon. You can tell they're the same car, but you got the Lambo flair and you got the R8 flair, I'd say. But I hope you enjoyed today's video. Check out 704 Exotics linked down below. They have an insane selection of pre-owned, super cool cars like these ones. And if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you all in the next video.